You're on.
Hi everyone! There's a little delay in the live, so we're just having a little bit of technical difficulties. Live is always a challenge, but we're here, so hopefully people are starting to tune in. So today we're talking about Costa Rica and everything Costa Rican. So yeah, we've spent 8 months traveling in Costa Rica, 5 of which were camping, 3 we were living in an apartment in San Jose. So yeah. So we'll give everybody just a moment to like hop online. Now that we're live, people can find us, hopefully, and we'll get to chatting. So this is a great video for you if you're planning a Costa Rican vacation, if you're interested in where to go, what to see, whether you're camping or not camping. There's something for everybody. We kind of review a little bit of everything, and definitely if you are interested in camping, then for sure you're going to want to check out this video and check out some of the other videos on our channel. We talk more specifically about everything you need to know for camping, as well as some of the best places to stay. Okay.
Sorry.
Since it's winter, I got my winter mug. Just to remind me that it's winter.
It's winter. Yeah, it's
January.
It's January. So in case you're wondering, we're obviously not in Costa Rica anymore. We just got back on Monday. So we've been home for 5-6 days now. We're at our home in Nicaragua. So winter, but sunny, warm.
Yeah. Our Christmas and New Year's was very odd for us. It was no snow, back in Canada, there's certain spots that had no snow during Christmas and New Year's. Mm-hmm. But now you have the snow and the cold, so we get messages of that all the time. But our Christmas and New Year's was non-traditional for us. No trees, no decorations, except for everyone else decorated their house and stuff like that. But it was nice. It was warm. We went to the beach for New Year's.
Yeah, and for Christmas Day. Yeah. And we're definitely feeling for our friends back in Canada, especially in Alberta, Canada, and Saskatchewan that are in a deep freeze right now. Super, super cold. They've had so many cold weather warnings and all of that. So hopefully they're all staying warm. And maybe they're heading to the beach if they can. Good time for a beach vacation. But we're here to talk about Costa Rica, not Canada cold weather. So we'll get right into it. So we were camping and living in Costa Rica for 8 months. We camped for 3 months, and it was probably, well, we talked about before we left Nicaragua whether we were going to spend 3 months or 6 months in Costa Rica. And we were kind of leaning towards 6, but we were a little bit undecided. We thought we'll wait till we get there first couple weeks and then we'll kind of make a decision so we can plan our route from there. And so after we were there about 2 weeks, we decided, yeah, let's do 6 months. And so that was our plan. So we're just really taking our time, spending, a few extra days at locations that we really, really liked. And we had read online that for Costa Rica, you can just go to the border, or in San Jose, you can renew your vehicle tip, which is the import pass specifically for your car. So it's for 3 months when you come to Costa Rica, and so we'd read online that you can just go to the border, you can renew it for additional 3 months, and you can drive up to 6 months in a row in Costa Rica before your vehicle has to leave, and then it has to be out of country for 6 months. So it can essentially spend half the year in Costa Rica. Well, those details online were a little bit muddied. It was about 2 weeks before the 3-month deadline that we found out that you cannot renew your tip for 3 months right away. You can be in 3 months, then you have to leave for 3 months, and then you can come back for 3 months. So you can do 180 days driving, but not consecutively. That was only during COVID. So just word to the wise, I guess, if you're traveling, The information online tells you that you can get 180 in a row, which is not the case. To complicate matters a little bit, we're traveling with our two bulldogs, Tigger and Penelope, and when all this was happening with the vehicle, the Nicaragua border actually got shut down because there was a screwworm infestation in Panama and a couple of cases in Costa Rica. And it's like a parasite that affects livestock, not just pets. So the Nicaragua border was closed, so we couldn't come back to Nicaragua because we couldn't bring Tigger and Penelope back. So we had to figure out what to do with our car because we couldn't keep driving. And yeah, so what we ended up deciding was you can actually store your vehicle in Costa Rica in a government storage facility, and that's essentially like it's leaving the country. So you don't drive it for that time after the 3 months is up, or longer if you want to leave it longer, then you can get your vehicle back. So that's actually a good option. There's lots of people that do it. If they have like campers and RVs and like rooftop tents like us, they'll come, they'll travel for a while, they'll store their vehicle there, they'll go back home, work for 6 months, a year, whatever, then they'll come back, grab their vehicle, and go back to camping, adventuring in Costa Rica. So that's why we ended up in San Jose for 3 months. So we rented an apartment for 3 months in San Jose, and then we went back to camping for 2 months after that. So 5 months in total in the rooftop tent, and that's our 8 months, and now we're home. So that's what our time has looked like in Costa Rica. So we've got like a good mix of camping as well as like living in Costa Rica, living in the city. And because we were camping for so long, I would say, we really were living in Costa Rica. It wasn't just like a 2-week camping trip where you're just kind of like seeing everything and on the go. We were really like diving in and exploring a little bit deeper. So we're going to talk more about that. All right. So probably the biggest question is like where to go. What's the best place? Where should you spend your time in Costa Rica? And I'll let Chris answer this.
So basically, out of all of Costa Rica, we loved every part of it. But our favorite part as a tourist would be around the Arenal volcano, or the the lake.
Yeah, Lake Arnold.
And then
The Arnold volcano.
what's the city though?
La Fortuna
La
would be the
Fortuna.
bigger city.
So La Fortuna is one of the biggest, larger cities around the Arenal volcano. But that's our favorite tourist area.
Yeah, and really from there, like La Fortuna is the most touristy spot. So if you were looking to stay like in an Airbnb or in a little hotel or a bigger hotel, that's a great kind of like home base. And then really from there, you can day trip to everywhere that you want to go. Or similar to what we did camping wise, we actually kind of started in La Fortuna area, and then we traveled all the way around the lake. And there's lots of really great camping places all around the lake. There's great views of the volcano, depending on what time of year that you're there. So it's kind of funny because we spent a good month traveling around Lake Arnold. We saw the volcano every single day. Every single day we saw it. Sometimes it had a little bit of cloud cover, but it was always visible. And then we actually went back to Arnold volcano for about another 2 weeks in the last bit of our camping trip when we got our car back. And again, we saw the volcano every single day. We got married in Costa Rica 13 years ago, came with our family, everyone wanted to see the volcano. We did a day trip, saw absolutely nothing. So it's kind of ironic, but we had great views of the volcano. The weather is also really nice there, so it's warm during the day, but it cools off a little bit more at night, which just makes it really nice, especially if you're camping, but just in general, the heat. It's nice to have a little break from the heat. And if you're coming to Costa Rica, we think come for the nature. Like that's the big reason to come to Costa Rica as opposed to going to Mexico or Dominican or some of those beach destinations. To each their own, but we would recommend if you're planning to come to Costa Rica, come for the nature. That's really that's really the big draw. That's really what Costa Rica has to
It's
offer.
ecotourism, eco adventures. You've got the zip lining. You can do white river rafting. It depends on the season. There's tons of hiking. The hanging bridges, hanging bridges, cloud forest, all the wildlife. We saw spider monkeys. We saw howler monkeys, or heard lots of howler monkeys. Toucans everywhere. Tons of different kinds of frogs. Got lots of pictures of those. Yeah, just the eco adventure that Costa Rica offers is one of our favorite things.
Yeah, and what you're not going to see, you're not going to get that in some of the other places that we mentioned. So yeah, really dive into the nature in the Arnold volcano and Lake Arnold area is probably a great jumping off point. There's lots of other places you can go, but especially if you're coming for like 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, the more you spend time driving to various locations, you're gonna spend a lot of time driving. So you're kind of gonna miss the time that you could spend in the nature because you're trying to get to all these different locations. Whereas if you're in that area, you're pretty much gonna get to experience everything except the beaches.
So we came across some people along our trip, some really great people. A lot of them from the Netherlands. So, shout out to Netherlands for coming down to Costa Rica. It's one of their favorite spots that we've heard. But they were trying to hit, as same with us, is trying to hit as many spots in Costa Rica as possible. And you can see some of the exhaustion on their face of them traveling, 5 hours every day or 7 hours just to go and get from one spot to the next. Our suggestion, if you're gonna go and do that trip, is to pick a location, pick your favorite, what you wanna see, even though it is only 800 kilometers from the northern border to the southern border of Costa Rica, but you can't do that in a typical 8 hours. It takes you quite a time, or take some time to go and get around Costa Rica. You're driving 40 kilometers, 60 kilometers, steep inclines, steep declines, stuck behind transport trucks. So getting around Costa Rica, the roads are good, but they're more challenging than typical North American roads.
Yeah.
But
Well, and we would say like the slowest. Like the slowest of all of not just America, like Central America. So we drove all the way down. They've got the twistiest, turniest.
But so picking your favorite location, so what you want to achieve out of Costa Rica, picking Arnold volcano, areas, so you can go and see all the ecotourism there. That's why everyone typically comes to Costa Rica. If you're coming to Costa Rica for surfing, then pick a beach resort and then enjoy the surfing. I would always suggest a little longer of a trip. So if you're going to do more than 7 or 10 days, then do the 2 weeks. So maybe you can split it up. That would be my biggest suggestion: is spend more time in Costa Rica if you can do it. But because I loved Costa Rica so much.
Yeah, Costa Rica was amazing, and yeah, you don't want to feel like on your vacation that all you're doing is driving and you never really get to like enjoy the locales. So don't overschedule yourself, and just know that if you are driving, whether you're driving a vehicle, your own vehicle rented, or you're taking like excursion transport vehicles, which is a great option to get around as well, it's going to be slow go, and it takes longer to get everywhere than you think it's going to. So just build that into your own trip itinerary. So Chris mentioned beaches. I mean, Costa Rica is surfing huge, like all along the Pacific coast. There's lots of different little surf beaches. Jaco is one really popular one. That's where we spent Christmas and New Year's, so we were in an Airbnb for Christmas and New Year's. Tamarindo, a little further up the coast, Playa Hermosa. There's lots of little surfing beaches dotted along the coast. So if surfing's your thing, or boogie boarding, that's great. If you're kind of just looking for like hot weather and hang out at the beach, maybe go to Mexico. Like honestly, Costa Rica is a little bit more expensive and it's a little harder to get here. So if you're just looking to like hang out on the beach for 7 days, we would send you somewhere else. But if you're
Well,
doing
Costa
surfing
Rica
at
is
Eco,
adventure. Yeah, Costa Rica is an adventure destination, adventure trip, eco adventure.
yeah, that's why you want
That's why you want to come to Costa Rica, and also the coffee. The coffee here is amazing.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely hit up a coffee farm when you're here. Like that's a tour that you want to do for sure.
We learned
That's
so
really
much
interesting.
doing a coffee tour. Like we didn't know how elevation changes flavor of the coffee, how different growers, like beans are not the same everywhere. From one spot to the next, they have different climates, different water, different growing procedures, and how they take care of the farms. Like it's different. So, yeah.
Yeah, super interesting.
It is very interesting. Like I love the coffee tour. Yeah.
When you're looking at planning your Costa Rican vacation, Costa Rica is kind of an interesting place because it has both coasts, the Pacific coast and the Caribbean coast, and often people are like kind of torn which one to go to. They're both quite different. So you've got mainly black sand beaches, volcanic sand beaches on the Pacific side, great for surfing. You go over to the Caribbean side, it's white sand, it's clear blue water, like total Caribbean vibe, Caribbean feel. But because the distance and the roads to get from the Pacific to the Caribbean side, it's a day's drive for sure. And the stretch of Costa Rican highway along the Caribbean coast is about 65 kilometers total. So like it kind of starts at Limon and ends at the Panama border, and that's about 65 kilometers long. There's lots of like little like eco resorts and stuff there, but the main thing that's on the Caribbean side is Caribbean beaches. So if you're planning your trip, especially if you only have a short period of time, we would say skip the Caribbean, keep the Caribbean if you're going for like 10 days, 14 days, so you have a little bit more time to get over there. Otherwise, that's a kind of a destination that you're going to spend a lot of time driving just to say like you've got to a beach on the Caribbean side, unless of course you're going to stay over there and you're going to spend 5 days at a little beach resort or something like that. We did go over to the Caribbean because we had 8 months, we had lots of time, but we would say that, you know, it's Caribbean beach like any other Caribbean beach. So it's not on the must-see list for Costa Rica, especially if you're limited for time. But really nice over there. What else do we have to chat about? So we camped a lot, like 5 months we spent in the rooftop tents.
5 months out of 8 months in Costa Rica, we were in the tent. Tent held up really well, so we're pretty happy with the tent.
Yeah, we really, someone actually picked it up on one of our videos. They're like, why is there a pool noodle up in your tent? So the only real issue that we had, and we'd been in the tent like in rain before rainy season Costa Rica.
Much different rain back in North America, or back in Canada than Costa Rica. The rain is different.
Yeah, and we were it kind of, I think, ended up being a blessing in disguise. And we kind of said, even when we left for Costa Rica, if the rainy season gets to be too much in the tent, we'll either come back to Nicaragua or we'll Airbnb something.
Yep.
Like we weren't going to be miserable in the tent. And so where we kind of had our trip planned, we left at the end of May. So we were hitting the first part of rainy season. Actually, the day we left Nicaragua was the first day it rained in Nicaragua, which normally it starts a little earlier.
Yeah.
But so we were in the first part of the rainy season for the first couple of months, and then we missed the worst of the rainy season, which in Costa Rica is September, October, November. That's when the rain is the worst, and they usually say like October, November are the heaviest. It varies a little bit depending on where specifically in Costa Rica because there's so many microclimates, but generally speaking, that's when you're going to get the most rain, and that's when we were in an apartment. So we kind of had the beginning of the rainy season, and then when we went back in the tent, we had just like the tail end. We were already kind of moving into the dry season, but that first 3 months, we did hit some significant rain.
So when it rains, it pours. Like it comes down hard. It's not an all-day rain in Costa Rica. Don't expect an all-day rainy, a rainy day.
Yeah.
It might be gray, maybe kind of cloudy, overcast, and then when the sky opens up, it just lets all the rain out all at once, and it'll rain for an hour, 2 hours, and then it'll go back to either gray or the sun will come out. Like and it all is microclimate. So you're at one destination, they're getting torrential downpour where someone else is not getting that rain. It's very isolated, and it's crazy.
And so when it downpoured, it would like pile onto the tent, and like it was just coming down so fast that it just couldn't run off the tent fast.
So it kind of created a divot between all the supporting poles. So we had to go and put a pool noodle up in the middle to go and create more of a peak. So that'd be one suggestion for our rooftop tent, is to go and have a little bit of a rooftop peak, so that the water could pool off the side, not just off the front of it, because it created a divot, and then the more rain, more divot, and so we needed a peak. That's why the pool noodle was there, if you saw that.
Yeah. And with the pool noodle, perfectly fine, no leaks, no water, but like this rain is unlike anything we've ever seen before. Like Nicaragua gets rain, and the same kind of where it'll just downpour and then stop, but like Costa Rica, it gets way more rain than Nicaragua, and like buckets more than Canada. So just be prepared for that. And especially like if you're camping, you know, like Chris said, it wasn't like it rained all day. So it wasn't like, you know, don't come in the rainy season. It's lush, it's green, it's, you know, it's beautiful. And there's lots that you can do. It's not going to rain all day and like ruin your day. But if you're camping, just be prepared. Like, do you have a rain jacket? And probably the biggest thing, honestly, is just the mud factor.
Yeah, so wherever you're camping, make sure that that ground is good, because when it does rain, it becomes soupy. Like just a soupy, muddy mess, and it takes a long time for the sun to go and dry that all out. So if you have if you're parking on concrete pads, which a lot of campsites we're at had the concrete pads, or had good gravel for drainage and not mud. Yeah, not dirt.
And especially because when you get into that rainy season, like it is going to downpour probably every day, or you might get like 1 or 2 days that it doesn't rain. So if there's no drainage and it's muddy, it's going to be muddy for the entire season. So you just can't get away from it. And that gets a little bit.
Yeah, and a lot of places we saw had like the red lava rock, which was like a good crushed compound for camping on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all in all, yes, we were there in the rainy season. We camped some of the rainy season. If you're planning your time and you have flexibility with your schedule, we would say probably avoid coming to camp September, October, November, if possible. If that's the only time you have and that's when you're going to be here camping, just be really prepared and really look for those good campsites that have a rain shelter, something that you can get under that's not just, so you're not just cooped up in your tent all the time, and decent drainage so that like everything is not a mud pit, especially with the dogs, because like a bunch of bulldogs getting muddy and then getting in the car and huge mess. But favorite campsites. So we pretty much, we camped like everywhere in Costa Rica. We really looked for like campsites that we wanted to go to, like whether it was the location, the views, what amenities they had. Like we really tried to find good places to camp. And I would say camping in Costa Rica is kind of different than camping in Canada, in the Americas. And, you know, we talked to a bunch of other people that were traveling, like the Europeans, you know, their camping is very different even than Canada. Like they're used to really big, huge campgrounds and that kind of thing. So camping in Costa Rica, it's small.
Yeah, very small, very quaint. You're next to the next camper. So we got to go and have some really good chats with everyone else who's camping with us, which is not very many. Camping is a big thing in Costa Rica, but it's not huge. So we're seeing people from Australia, people from the Netherlands, Switzerland, like Germany, all over the world. A lot of Americans as well, and Canadians. We saw a Canadian, was it Maple?
Maple was the name of their
Maple.
truck.
So another couple that was traveling from Canada, went from Vancouver or
Somewhere in BC.
somewhere in BC, and they're traveling all the way down into South America, I believe.
Yeah, all the way to Argentina.
So they were their vehicle is called Maple, really beautiful truck, really kitted out perfectly. But what was I saying?
Just that like we met lots of people along the way, and the camping is small.
The camping is really, really small, very, very cute, very great. I can get off topic a lot, and I'll lose where I'm going, so sorry about that.
That's why I'm here to.
That's why she's here to go and rein me in, because I get distracted, butterfly, frog. But really love the camping there. It's really small, very quaint. It's much different. It's not huge sites. I don't think we came across any sites that were huge.
Probably the most would maybe be like 5 vehicles could be there. Like there could be room for 5 vehicles.
Yes. There was one. It was a fish farm, not the trout, but it was the tilapia.
Turin Gardens. In Monteverde.
Beautiful spot. That you can stay at all different parts of that farm, and not see the next person, which was nice. And then you can go to the local area where they had all the Wi-Fi, had all the power and everything there. Then you can go and chat with people. I think we met some people from Dominican Republic.
We did. Dominican Republic and Netherlands. 2 different people we met there.
So we got to meet a lot of people all around the world on this trip, which is super nice.
But yeah, I expect that most of the campsites are very small. Like some would only be like 2 to 3 vehicles max could fit in the location. A bigger spot, there might be 5, or like there might be a couple of bigger spots that if you were traveling with like a group of people or a family and you had a couple vehicles, you could cluster maybe 3 clusters of vehicles of other campers kind of thing. But definitely small. And most of the time you would see other campers. Like Turin Gardens was kind of one of the exceptions, and there's a couple other ones that you kind of had, like Batsu was another one that you kind of had the place all to yourselves. It was very secluded, which was really nice. But also know that some places like really do your research in terms of like reading. Like we use iOverlander pretty much predominantly, a few other recommendations and stuff, but for the most part iOverlander. Really read the reviews and see where you're going. We found in Costa Rica, so there's a toggle that's established campgrounds and informal campgrounds and wild campgrounds. We would find that, it would say that it's an established campground, and if you read through the reviews, it might just be like you're parking on someone's yard and you're actually using like the shower in their house.
Yeah, and wild camping is actually wild camping where you're on the beach and there's no one else around, which is, I would say, not safe. Or you're at a gas station parking lot, which is typically safe. So if you're just stopping over, you just need one place to go and crash. You can do wild camping, doesn't cost you anything a lot of times. But, or it's like a restaurant or hotel parking lot, so that's wild camping. But informal and formal camping, they can kind of go back and forth. So you stay at a formal campground, and it's not the traditional formal campground. You got to read the reviews. 100% read the reviews. iOverland is the best app to go and use to see what is available in Costa Rica and all around. What I've seen all around the world is iOverland. I was looking up some places in Iceland. Little information there, but they have a lot of campsites there, and so reading iOverland is critical. Like the reviews.
But yeah, just make sure you read the reviews, because you could end up just like parked beside somebody's house, which may or may not be what you're interested in. That wasn't what we were interested in, so we were really reading through, and don't just click the established campground toggle, because some of the best places we stayed at were informal camping, just meaning like they weren't saying that we're like only a camping facility. So I think just the language in general sometimes gets lost a little bit in the translation. So when they're setting up the site, or someone tags the site as a place to stop over, it might not be tagged the same as you would find in Canada or the US. So take a look through there. There's lots of really good places. we'll tell you like our top few. So mentioned one already, which was Turin Gardens, and that's just outside of Monteverde. Really, really good spot to stop. And we actually, chatting with some other campers, you know, people would say, "Oh, where have you been? Where did you like?" And that one came up a few times that other people said the same thing, like really liked it there. Chris nicknames it the Hilltop.
Hilltop, yeah.
So that's just outside of La Fortuna. It's called Mirador La Armonia. Really beautiful spot. Kind of, it's high up on a hill. You've got an amazing view of Arno Volcano and Lac Arno.
And there's several campsites there, and they're very well established.
Yeah.
They built these structures, well, a few structures there that you can go up top and then have your coffee and like view the volcano while having coffee and in the shade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really clean bathrooms. Like, yeah, really, that was a great spot.
And a lot of places we found in Costa Rica are developing their camp spot. So a lot of them are in partial construction. They're building bathrooms or better bathrooms, shower facilities. They're running power, running water. So where we're at right now in Costa Rica for camping, it's only going to get better and bigger. A lot of people are going to open up their campsites and be more established, and I'm really excited to come back and do more camping when they've developed it further. But as it stands, these places are our favorite.
Yeah. Another spot way up in the hills called Camping Pura Vista. Yeah, Camping Pura Vista. It's probably the closest town is Miramar. This is a spot that's a little more off the beaten path. So the Mirador La Armonia, that's just outside of La Fortuna, and the Turin Gardens, which is near Monteverde. Those are great places, like if you're looking to do a lot of excursions and that kind of thing, good place to stay. The Camping Pura Vista, it's more off the beaten path. You're not gonna just happen upon this place. It's not on the way to anything else. It's actually a one-way road in and one-way road out. But if you're looking for a really nice place to camp, it's beautiful. It's way up in the hills. You're kind of looking down towards Punta Arenas. So if you are going to the Punta Arenas area, it's, I don't want to say close-ish by because it's a bit of a jaunt to get up there. But they have a little pool up top, and they have like a whole cooking shelter, clean bathrooms, warm showers, Wi-Fi. Yeah, it was like a hidden gem. Another spot that we really liked was the Valley.
I call it the Valley.
The Valley. The real name is Lagos del Rio, and that's actually in La Fortuna. So if you're in the La Fortuna area, and actually in La Fortuna, shout out to Lagos del Rio. We went to a couple of other places, looked at them, and we're like, we're gonna keep looking. Just in terms of like what you're paying and the mud factor and all of that.
We knew we were going to a little bit more of a rainy season, so if it's just basically dirt or not even grass, they were like, sorry, we got to move on. We shopped around, and that was the best place.
Oh, gorgeous! Like they have like 2 full-time gardeners, and the place is immaculate. They have
very well established, very well.
They have like probably 5 or 6 little caban, like little ranch huts. It's all cement pads underneath. There's parking for a bunch of vehicles. They have a whole little set up kitchen area with like a gas burner and sink.
They have like a half dozen tiny houses in the back as well.
Yeah, so you can rent a cabin. There's like a natural pond on the property which you can swim in. The river runs right behind the property. You can swim in the river. Like we went into the river every day.
Nice and cold, freezing cold.
Yeah. Just like gorgeous, and because they have it so developed, like all the trees and everything, you see tons of birds there. We saw some amazing toucans
I got
there.
some really good shots of toucans there. Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so definitely worth seeing, and easily walk into La Fortuna. It's just kind of like right on the edge of town, but 15-20 minute walk, you can be in La Fortuna. So that's a great location.
Very centrally located.
Where else did we really like? In terms of camping, another spot that we really liked, there's lots of fish farms in Costa Rica, was the trout farm, Trout Silva Madre. So this is another spot, more off the beaten path, depending on where you're planning to travel in Costa Rica, but it's just right at the edge of the Quetzales National Park. So if you are going by that area, it's not too far from San Ramon, so that kind of area. And they have a salmon trout farm, and it's a really cute little area. They're open to the public, and it's like stocked pond, and so they have like the stocked pond. You can go there and you can fish. So we actually, I'll say fishing.
I caught a fish on the first cast, and Tovah caught a fish on the second, but it got free, so it gave her a fight. And then she caught and pulled in, reeled in on her third cast.
Yeah.
So it's very easy fishing. So if you want to feel accomplished in your fishing skills, go there, because it's a very well stocked fishing pond.
Yeah, and would be like super great for kids, like families that were coming with kids.
Oh,
the kids were having the time of their lives.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about cleaning it at all. Basically, they give you the hook, the rod. It's not even a rod, it's more of a stick on, yeah. Toss it in, and the bait. So you toss it in, you catch a fish, you pull it in. As you pull it in, the guy will come over to you, you grab the fish, take care of it for you, put it in a bucket, bring it around. They will clean it all up, descale it, ask how you want it. You want fillets, or you want the skin on. We had a 50-50, so we had skin on and skin off.
Yeah. Or you can keep it as like whole fish. We just didn't have enough room to cook a whole fish, so we got it filleted.
So they'll clean it all up, and then you can have them cook it as well. If you don't have the cooking facilities, they'll cook it up for you as well. And then it was actually a really decent price too. So then we took it to our campsite. We had 2 dinners of fish.
Yeah. The fish was amazing. So it's called salmon trout. It's like similar to salmon, but not quite the same as regular salmon. It's like in the salmon family. It's like a cold water fish. And this place not only like is the fishing fun, but it just looks like a fairy tale there. Like around the pond, they have like kind of set up all these little rancheros that have like just really cute little roofs, and they kind of have like 2 or 3-sided walls. There's lots of trees. There's a babbling brook that runs through the property, so like you're hearing the water, watching the water. They've got like grills and fire pits and like clean bathrooms. It's just really, really well set up, and lots of people go there just for the day. Like they come, they fish, or they bring a picnic and that kind of thing. So it was really nice, but it was cold at night there.
Oh, very cold. We had fires, and it was justified to go and have a fire at night. And we invited over some people from
Netherlands.
the Netherlands, and we
Yeah.
also met some people from Switzerland. But yeah, we struggled. I struggled at that time to go and get keep the fire going, because the high wind, and we just arrived, so we had damp or wet wood.
Yeah.
So I was throwing on more logs just to go and keep it going, but the wood was just too wet at the time. We needed to dry the wood, but anyway, we got her going after that. If you're from the Netherlands, you're the couple there. We got her going. We're good. But,
Yeah. Sorry for all the ashy fire that first night, but
yeah.
yeah.
It was cold. About 10 degrees a day.
Yeah, it went down to like 10 degrees Celsius at
Celsius.
night, so we had to pull out like our extra blanket. And
It sounds like it's not that cold, but we've been in 30-degree this whole time, and then we hit a 10-degree night. It gets pretty chilly.
yeah, like we had our toques on when we were sitting outside. But I mean, we were still sitting outside. Like it was still nice, and it was enjoyable. Like it was a nice like break from the heat, and during the day it was like 20 to 23 degrees, so not as hot during the day.
Oh, it was super comfortable.
So it was really nice for the dogs. Like, it was a little cooler. Penelope got to go for lots of walks every day.
We got to hike to a couple different waterfalls all around there. Beautiful waterfalls, beautiful hiking. So when the weather's nice and cool-ish, you know, in the low 20s, we can leave the dogs at the campsite. They just kind of snooze. We can go for an hour, go do the hike, and then come back to the dogs.
Yeah, so it's really good there. And then probably our last, like, so many good campsites, so we don't want to like single anybody out, but I mean, we can't list every single place that we went. But campsite was Prado Park. So this is a spot that's about 45 minute drive outside of San Jose. So this could be a great spot if it's like your first day picking up, if you're getting a rooftop tent rental. First stop on your first day out, or maybe the last stop where you return it, or just if you're traveling around, you need to go to the city, you need to pick up some stuff. San Jose really is the spot if you needed to restock or get anything if you're there long term. It's in kind of like a blanket suburb town of San Jose called Atenas, and this is like an established campground. There's 2 pools there. 2 pools. It's very treed. They have a couple of ranches with cement pads, and then they have a bunch of other like laid out camp areas. They all have fire pits. There's tons of firewood.
Running water, electricity, lights. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, probably the most like established campground that we were at, I would say. But yeah, nice spot, and because it's closer to San Jose and you're kind of in the little bit higher elevation, the temperature's pretty nice there as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, nice and comfortable.
And we also stayed at Airbnbs.
Yeah, we stayed at a couple Airbnbs. One that we particularly liked is called Little Paradise, and it is in Nuevo Arnel, so that's about halfway around Lake Arnel. So like I said, we drove all the way around the lake. Really, really cute little spot. They've got a nice view of the lake, and they're set up. They have like probably 5 or 6 different little hotel rooms, and then they also have like a shared kitchen. So kind of a great spot if you're either just looking to like stay in Nuevo Arnel. We met some people that were staying there, and then they were going off to a couple of different excursions for a couple of days. Whether you want to eat at restaurants, but if you're looking to maybe save a little bit of money, they have like a fully stocked kitchen with all the dishes, all the burners and everything. All you need to do is bring your food, so that's a good option.
And we went there for camping, and at the time we went there, they didn't have camping. They said they're going to bring it in really soon, so they're probably up and running with camping again. But that's why we landed there, and we stayed there as an Airbnb. We got to go and have nice hot showers. We got to go and clean off, and that was really appreciated that we were out of the camping scenario. We just we got laundry done there.
Yeah.
We got our laundry done. So basically, whenever we hit these Airbnbs or spots that weren't camping, we got our laundry, got hot showers, we got cleaned up, we got everything unpacked, cleaned, put back together, and then we can carry on with our camping adventure.
Yeah, and I think that was we'd been a little over a month in the tent at that point, so it was nice to I think we stayed there 2 nights, or it might have been 3 nights. The owners are really, really super friendly. Yeah, just was nice to kind of mix it up a little bit. And Chris mentioned laundry. Not only if you're staying at an Airbnb, but any spot that if you're tent camping or you're RVing and you're somewhere that's that maybe has cabins, like lots of places that have cabins also allow camping. Possibly some restaurants as well might have laundry available. So they might not say that there's laundry, but definitely if there's a cabin, they're going to be doing laundry. So ask to use the laundry, and they'll usually allow you to sometimes it's free, sometimes it's paid, but to spend a couple of dollars. I mean, we also hand washed a ton and hung to dry, but sometimes just to like get it all done, throw it in a washer, and if they have a dryer, Sometimes
dryers.
that's a godsend, just
Yeah.
because we were in the rainy season, so a lot more humid. Lots of times line drying would take like 2 days to dry stuff, especially because like compared to the washer, you know, you can only hand wring it out so much that it's a lot more wet than it would be coming out of a dryer or washing machine. So even if somewhere only has a washing machine and they don't have a dryer, take them up on it, because it's going to get your clothes dried more quickly. Like, yeah. So yeah, laundry always something you need to get done when you're on the road. But yeah, those were our favorite, some of our favorite places. The last one on the list for our favorite was at Hot Springs
Camping.
for camping.
Oh yeah.
So that was just outside of La Fortuna,
Yep.
and the name of the place was Los Laurales. It's, in terms of hot springs, it's one of the cheaper ones to visit. Some of the more expensive ones are like $85-$90 just to go to the hot spring. That's not to stay over. This one, it's like $10 per person to go to the hot springs. Don't let that fool you. We stayed there and we loved it. And when we moved on to Nuevo Arnold, we were talking to a couple families, and they have a house in Nuevo Arnold, so they've been to like all of the hot springs in La Fortuna, and they said that was their favorite hot spring.
They have multiple different pools, different temperatures. You know, they all starts off super hot, coming right out of the hot spring, super hot, and then it slowly filters all the way down into the cooler pools.
We got a couple water slides.
Oh yeah, water slides, crazy water slides. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And we were super lucky so the camping was only $2 million, which is basically $4 US per person per night, which is one of the cheapest places we've had. Usually we're spending about $10 per night US.
Yeah, average was 10%.
And then it was $10 to get in, but we stayed there 3 nights, and they just told us, since you're camping here and you bought one admission, we were allowed to go in all 3 days with paying only one cover charge. So
that might not always be the case.
might not be all the case, you know, just the friendly face maybe made it happen, but it was good.
Yeah. And
We were there all the time. We'd get up, have breakfast, go for a hot spring, and then come back, have lunch, maybe go for another hot spring in the afternoon,
yeah.
come back, have supper, and then go back in the evening and have a nice little sunset volcano view.
Oh yeah, great view of the volcano from there. From the hot pools you can see the volcano, and from the campsite. And the camping is like, basically you just like walk out way past the parking lot. There's like a covered shelter, clean bathrooms, they have electricity, there's Wi-Fi. So yeah, and the hot springs are open till like 10 p.m. So yeah, lots of time to just go back and forth, and we could like go to the hot springs during the day. You know, we just like pop back to the car, check on dogs. Yeah, really affordable and really good location. Yeah, we'd go back there. And so then we were in San Jose for 3 months, kind of right in the middle.
Yep.
Where'd we stay?
At the secret. Secret Savannah. I shopped around online. I was on Airbnb, checking out all the different spots. There's so many different spots to stay in San Jose,
Yeah.
but I chose the Secret Savannah just because it was really cool theme. It's an Alice in Wonderland theme. Great place. Yeah.
Good location, easy to walk around. The park's like a block away. You can walk to the San Jose downtown, like the Central Market and the whole downtown area. It's about like 3 kilometers to get to the market, so we did that a lot. Just very good location for walking and not having a vehicle. And even if you don't want to walk, or you were going somewhere, like for us, we would only get a drive if it was like more than about 6 kilometers, and if it was like 7 or 8, we'd walk there usually, and then we take a drive back.
We did a lot of walking to the destination, do whatever we're doing there, and then walk back. Or we'd take a DD. So DD instead of an Uber. Uber is very popular there. DD is like their competitor. And it's spelled DI. They're much cheaper.
Yeah.
But if you want to go and have like the luxury car experience, the Ubers are usually the higher end vehicles. But if you want to get around town, then the DD was perfectly fine.
Yeah, and I mean, the town is not, like, it's a city, but it's really not that big. Like I said, we could walk most everywhere. On further edges, you know, like 10 kilometers, we'd get a ride. And so you're not actually in that vehicle for that long. Like, it's quick. You're usually only going a couple kilometers. And one tip is that, I mean, if you're a city person, you probably already know this, but when you get into that kind of rush hour, like after work time, between about 4 p.m. and about 7 p.m., the price goes up. So if you're just like, oh, hey, we're going to this big mall and we can come back whenever, try to get back to where you're going before that time.
Which happened to us. I looked at it, it's like, oh, it's only 3,500 Cologne. Okay, we walked outside, so it was like 3:30, and I walked outside, which is $7 American, to go and get from this mega mall multiplex to our hotel. No problem. We walked around, checked a few things out on the way out, and we got outside. It was like shortly after 4, price jumped up to, I think, 7. Yeah, price jumped up to double that, to 7 mil, so 7,000, which is $14 American, which is still a really good price for an hour taxi ride because it was rush hour. So it was $14 and we were in the taxi for an hour because the rush hour just kicks in. Everyone gets off work at 4 o'clock and it's just jam-packed roads. He took the freeway as much as he could and then skirted off and got around the traffic, which was, appreciate the driver doing that. But
yeah, if you can plan around it.
Yeah, the rush hour was very crazy. Big city. It's a huge.
Well, and there's just some like places that it bottlenecks in San Jose. Like I think they've just gotten too big and they need to like redo some of the roads or some spots that you go from 3 lanes down to 2 and it just like creates havoc.
Yeah, it goes from 3 into 2 and sometimes down to 1, just because there's a bridge and they can't expand the bridge and move the bridge, so not easily. So you see this bottleneck, and then you see it wide open again once you get past there, and then or an accident. When you get into an accident down here, this is very important. When you get into an accident down here in Costa Rica or Central America, we'll say, you stop the car right where you are. You don't pull off into the side or you don't into the parking lot. You basically, accident happens, you stop. And then investigators come in, they can assess the accident. If you pull off somewhere else, it's basically you're admitting fault. Just so you know that. We have not had that situation. We knew that going into it, but that's very important information. If you are driving, you are getting an accident, you stop your vehicle right then and there, you're blocking traffic, you're the pain in the ass. But that's how it's done now.
So city was kind of an unexpected stop for us. It wasn't our plan, but we actually really had a great time there.
Oh yeah.
And we would say if you're coming to Costa Rica, most people, well, you're either flying into usually San Jose or you're flying into Liberia, depending on where you're going. But if you are coming in and around San Jose, we think it's worth spending a day. Like if you got lots of time to travel, you might spend a few days. But if you're, on a week-long, a 2-week-long, you've only got so much time. Lots of people just skip over San Jose. It's worth a day for sure. Like Savannah Park, go
museums.
To the museums, go to the downtown market. There's lots to see and just kind of like have that experience, especially the downtown. Like I think that's, if you're going anywhere, go see the downtown for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, favorite food.
Which
Favorite
part?
favorite food that we had like from a restaurant or a little soda or a stand or.
Go ahead, you can do yours.
So my favorite was empanadas, and we had those downtown in the downtown market area in San Jose. The name of the place is La Empanada, La Empanadita, something like that. And it's like just like it's in the downtown core area. That was our first time having like real traditional empanadas. I think what I liked about these ones is sometimes they're baked, which we've had some baked ones and they're good, but these ones were like a quick deep fry, so the outside was like really nice and crispy and hot compared to some of the baked ones, so just like a little bit different. And for me, I really liked that we'd read that there's two ways to get empanadas. One is regular, so it's like whatever kind of empanada you're getting, whatever stuffing is in there. But then like the traditional Costa Rican way is arreglada, which is they put like shredded cabbage on there, and then they put a little bit of mayonnaise and ketchup. Sounds weird, but it's like a ketchup, like a red sauce, and it's more like it's kind of a mix between ketchup and hot sauce. It's not like super hot, but that kind of sauce, and just yeah, so delicious, like with the crispiness of the empanada, and then like the flavoring and the heat of the stuffing in the inside of the empanada, but then like the coolness of the cabbage on top. Really, really tasty, and they were super cheap. Like they were really affordable, and a lot of food was not super cheap in Costa Rica.
Yeah, food and everything in general, Costa Rica. So it's very, I would say, don't go to Costa Rica if you expect that it's going to be a cheaper place to travel. It's not in Mexico, it's not in Nicaragua. It's a very well-developed country. Very prices I found to be very similar to the States.
Yeah.
And sometimes a little bit more. Just be prepared for that. There is a lot of, so if it's imported in, so like a product, if it's imported in, there's typically a 30% tax on top of that for them to import it in, so that gets passed over to the customers.
Yeah.
And the restaurant. So, okay, so my favorite place was actually, I was thinking about it while she was talking.
Yeah,
It was actually, I found this place by accident, and I know it's not a Costa Rican food, but it was called Ridiculous Burgers. So they have, excuse me, they have the most expensive burger. So it's like caviar and
Wagyu beef.
Wagyu beef burger. So they have the most expensive burger. They have the biggest burger, and then that's the biggest burger challenge. If you eat this, I don't even know how heavy it was. I don't even listed.
I don't know how heavy it was.
It was
but
a fairly
was like,
tall.
It was like I think like half a meter high.
Oh, it's the meter. A half meter? Anyway, it's half meter burger. And if you eat it within an hour?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Oh, 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
I don't know if anyone's ever done it. If they have, you're probably sick. But if they have the most expensive, they have the biggest, they have the most exotic. There's so many different, I think they had like buffalo burger, actual buffalo. They had rabbit. They had
some fish burgers. They had vegetarian burgers.
So they have tons and tons of burgers, ridiculous amount of burgers. But I found this place, well, I ordered and got burgers from there by accident. So I was just online shopping, like, well, I want to go to this place, Ridiculous Burger. I saw it downtown, so I go to the website. Go to the website, I'm clicking through their menu, going, oh, this looks interesting, add to cart. So I can go and show Tovah later on what I liked. So I was adding to cart all these different burger options, and just a little, another little secret, on there's burgers that you can't order at the restaurant. So it's only online, it's only available in the app, and it's a secret menu. So you can discover it in their app and on their website. But anyway, I was on there, I was on the secret menu, adding things. Going, oh, this one looks really good. This one looks really good. I added them all to the cart. I went to hit exit to get out of there, but as I hit exit, the little send order in was right underneath my little arrow to exit, and I hit order. And it's like, oh, cash order, come pick it up in 15 minutes. I'm sitting there going, well, I guess I just ordered a bunch of burgers, and I'm not going to go and put an order in and stand them up. So, and those are all the burgers I wanted anyway.
Yeah.
So I think, where were you? Anyway, so basically I added the burgers, we packed our stuff up, and we headed to the beach, grabbed the burgers, and had burgers on the beach.
Yeah. Well, that's what we did for New Year's Eve.
And
so
those were
burgers and beers on the beach, which was our plan anyway. We were just gonna go to the store and order.
And she wanted to go and order burgers that she wanted, so I ended up ordering very traditional for her. So she got the burgers, and they were, they're my favorite burgers.
Yeah,
they were the best.
Really good.
They were ridiculously good.
Yeah, burgers were good. The fries were good.
Yeah.
Beach was good. Yeah, so check out Ridiculous Burger. It is a Costa Rican
And that was in Hako.
chain.
I didn't mention it was in Hako.
It was in Hako, yeah. And there might be one in San Jose as well.
Maybe.
I feel like it's a Costa Rican restaurant, and I think that might be a chain. So there might be other locations. But yeah,
I know there's also another burger spot, and I know not Costa Rican, was Smash Burger, and that's a big burger spot. But I did like a lot of traditional food there too.
Yeah, always like traditional Costa Rican breakfast, rice and beans, gallo pinto, like all of that is really good. We definitely had some good food. If you're traveling in Costa Rica, definitely stop and check out, like, they call them a soda. It's just like a small little, like, family-run little restaurant. You'll see them, like, along the side of the road. In the cities, you'll see them. It's just like a non-chain, small little restaurant. Usually they have, like, typical Costa Rican food, which often is like, they call it, like, casada, which is like a roast. It's like a roast meat plate. So it's like, well, it's translated as like a marriage plate, but basically it's like you get like a piece of meat, usually like some kind of roasted meat, and then you'll get like vegetables, a little bit of salad, like it all comes as like a plate meal, and that's very popular in Costa Rica. And then you just choose whether you're getting like beef, whether you're getting chicken, whether you're getting fish. So those are really popular, really, really good. Some of those places have like a buffet, which is kind of nice. So they have like a few different dishes, or they'll have like, one of the places that was across from our apartment in Secret Savannah, they had like a little buffet. There was probably like, I don't know, 7 different choices that you could get. And it was, how they did it is every single day, there was like 7 different things on the list. So Monday, this was the Monday menu, this was the Tuesday menu. And there was like some crossover, but yeah, just kind of very like simple like that, like not huge menus, but really good like home cooked food. What was your favorite camping food?
So camping food was my favorite food out of everything down there. Tovah does camping in style with food. The butter chicken was, I don't think I'll ever have butter chicken the same. It was amazing. I don't know how she did it, what ingredients were fresh or what it was, but my favorite camp one was the butter chicken. Hands down, easy. That was easy.
Butter chicken was one of my favorites too. And I made homemade naan bread, so.
Yeah, homemade naan. But I mean, she does the camp pizza, which is really good. We're learning to perfect the camp pizza, even down to the simple hot dogs that we have had down there.
Was it Chipotle flavor?
Yeah. So those were amazing.
Yeah, those were good. We found here not as many, like they have sausage, like salchiches, and then often like it's in a coil, and it's like It's not like an Italian sausage or how we would have sausage. I would describe it. It's more kind of like a hot dog, and so like you cut it and then you fry it up, and it's good. But there's not a lot of like sauce, like how we would consider sausages. And so the sausage that they have, sometimes you get it in packages. So the Chipotle ones that Chris is talking about, those we found those in a package, and I think it's just about finding the right way to cook them, because we'd had them before, and I was like, I don't love these, like they're okay, but so how we found best to cook them was like you kind of gotta score it a little bit, and they're very, very lean. Like normally we would get sausage, and sausage is kind of greasy, and like that's part of the flavor. The sausages here and in Nicaragua as well, they're very, very lean. So I found the best way to cook them is actually like spray them with a little bit of oil, because like just they wouldn't really brown up, they would just be too dry. And so yeah, so adding that little bit of oil and kind of like opening them up a little bit made them that much better. So kind of a learning curve always when you go to a new country, because like all of the products are different. You go to the grocery store, it's like, okay, which one to choose. So we really had time to try to figure out like what was good. We didn't have anything that was bad. Like there was lots of like interesting things.
So also the pork chops down here, it sounds ridiculous, but the pork chops, they're completely on another level. Like they're thin cut pork chops.
Called chalupa is the cut.
Beautiful. Yeah, pork chops, phenomenal.
Yeah,
fry those up. I'm like, what did you put on this? She's like, nothing. They're natural.
Yeah, all I added was pepper.
Yeah.
Definitely try those if you're here. Those are something that they sometimes offer on those casada plates. It's called chalupa, and yeah, it's a thin cut pork chop, and I would describe it as like it looks like a pork chop, but the taste is like combine pork chop and female bacon. That's whatever cut of pork this is. We don't have it in Canada. Yeah.
And then also for traditional, we have for Christmas we have pierogies. So she made pierogies. I had a nap.
Well, you normally help make pierogies, but it's a small batch.
Small batch of pierogies. So for Christmas we had pierogies. So
those I did make in an Airbnb, just so you know. But I could have made those camping as well. I guess that what we would say is, we love hamburgers and hot dogs and all like the kind of traditional like camp food. But if you're overlanding, if you're traveling long haul, like you're not gonna eat that every single day. So you gotta like figure out how to make these other meals. And for us, we have like a 2-burner Coleman stove, so that's really helpful.
And we have a really good refrigerator, electric refrigerator that runs off the car battery.
Yeah. So with the fridge, so we know like with the fridge stocked, and then we have like one Rubbermaid bin that we call it our pantry, and then we kind of got one other bin that's like just a little bit of like quick grab stuff. Well, we kind of have like everything all stocked up. We could be out for like a week and have enough food that we don't need to come back. I mean, we could be out longer than that if it was down to like just eating ramen and craft dinner or whatever. But yeah, we know that we've got like good meals for like a solid week. So that's been kind of a game changer for us too, so that we, you don't have to break camp, you don't have to hit up a store, but there's little stores all along. We'd hit a supermercado if we were in a city, but if not, we would just go to like, they pretty much have like Pali, and every little town is gonna have a grocery store. It might not be a big grocery store, but they're gonna have a little grocery store, or like a Super Express, or a Mini Super, so they're called here in Costa Rica. Mini Super is popular, so yeah, there's no shortage of being able to find things. You can pretty much get eggs everywhere.
All the essentials.
Yeah, essentials you'll get everywhere.
Beer everywhere. Yeah.
Speaking of beer, what is your favorite beer?
So I've had the Imperial Silver. So they have Imperial Silver, Imperial Original, Light. I think those are the 3 Imperials. And I like the Silver. It's a Costa Rican brand.
I'm not like a huge beer drinker. Imperial's okay. I would take a Bavaria Masters over that if they had it. But truth be told, I would take a Tonia, which is the Nicaraguan beer, over the Costa Rican beer. They're very similar, but I think the Tonia, in my opinion, for me, is better. But we did find this one imported beer that I really liked, and you could get it like a few places, and it was called Damn Lemon. It's actually a beer from Spain, and it's, I mean, similar to how you do Corona and you put lime in it, or you put lemon in it, this already comes with it infused, and so it was just like a really nice, like crisp drink on a cool, on a hot day, to cool down. So those were good finds. What about encounters? Like, we met so many nice people along the way.
Overall, like, yeah, we met so many people from the Netherlands, Australia, Switzerland, Germany, US, Canada. Surprising, a lot from the Netherlands and a lot from Canada as well. You know, it's great to go and have those encounters. To go and pick one out, you know, I can't really pick one out because there's different times when I really enjoyed, you know, sitting down with an Australian couple and having a fire, sitting around the fire pit and just chatting. And it's just great to go and have those fireside chats with people in English. I'm sorry, my Spanish is getting better, it's progressing. I'm learning it every single day, getting further and further, but it is more challenging for myself. But having fireside chats, you know, with an Australian couple, they were great. They were really good. Having, you know, chats with people from the Netherlands. We met so many different couples from the Netherlands, which was surprising. So the Dutch are great people.
They love Costa Rica.
They love Costa Rica. They love traveling down here. We met another overlander from Switzerland. She was in a van by herself, and she traveled. I think she flew into New Brunswick, the port in New Brunswick.
Halifax.
Was it Halifax?
Yeah.
So she flew to Halifax, drove her European van, across Canada. She found Saskatchewan very boring, which it is very boring. Sorry, that's my home province. But yes, we're very flat. All the way to our beautiful mountains in British Columbia. Then drove it down. Her 4-wheel drive broke in Tijuana.
Yeah, just into Mexico.
She just crossed over the border and her transfer case blew up. So, really nice people. And this speaks to the people of Central America. They will help everyone out.
So nice.
So people came over, they're like, this is not safe for your van to be, you know, on the side of the road. They got it in a tow truck, got it over to a shop. They said that they can't because it's a European vehicle. They don't have a transfer case for the vehicle, and she needs to keep moving, so move it along. Anyway, talk about her. Great to go and meet her. She's from Switzerland, traveling by herself all the way down. I'm not sure where her end point is. I think she went down to Panama, and now she's working her way up. Great experience with her.
Well, and we got some really great information from her. She let us know it's really not that expensive to ship your vehicle to Europe. So,
Yeah,
it's on the list.
it's on the list. Yeah.
And Chris was saying like just how friendly, how nice everyone is. So we did have something break on our vehicle. What was it?
So it was just where the Cadillac converter connects to your exhaust pipe. That coupling, all 3 of those bolts sheared off. Don't know how it all happened, but it sheared, like she looked under. A frog was kind of hopping along the ground. She tracked the frog all the way underneath the vehicle. She looked under the vehicle to go and see where this frog or toad, this toad was. And she's like, "Did you know our exhaust is hanging?" I look under. It's in 2 pieces, kind of hanging down. The hangers were holding it up enough. Don't know when it happened, but so.
Yeah, so we had to obviously get it fixed, and so we were in the Arno volcano area, and so like we asked the people who were staying there. They're like, yeah, you know, you should be able to get it fixed, because we weren't really in a town at the time. They're like, hey, yeah, where are you going next? We're going to Nuevo Arno. Yeah, definitely. There's mechanics there. They're able to fix it. Okay, so we go into town, we stop at the first garage and we talk to them, and the guy's like, I can't do it right now. He's like, I got some other jobs on the go, but he's like, honestly, he's like, I don't really have the right tools to do it. He's like, your best option is to actually go further down the road to this other place called Cheeto's Garage. They're like, he's got the right tools, he's the guy.
Cheeto's the guy.
So, which was really appreciative, because, you know, sometimes you always worry that someone's just going to take your money, you know, and try to fix something that they really can't. Nope, he was like, told us exactly where to go, where to get there, where's the best guy. So we drive down the road, we find Cheeto's Garage, and like, super great. Like, they helped us right away. Like, we had to unload the cargo carrier, they helped us with that. We got the vehicle over, like, up on the stand, and they went right away to work. Like, they had to use heat to get the bolts out, and they had to go into town to get new bolts, and came back. I don't know, we were there like hour and a half maybe? Hour and a half, done, good as new, $20. Like, crazy. So yeah, I would say that was a really, like, positive encounter, because, you know, like, our car is broken, we're like, who? And then, like, you know, how good is my Spanish? And are we going to be able to get this fixed? Is it going to take a couple days? Obviously, we sleep normally in our tent, so we're like, maybe we're going to have to Airbnb it. But anyway, we got it all sorted out, like, and yeah, they were super nice, super helpful.
Yeah.
So that was really good. Everybody that we met along the way was
Very helpful.
super friendly, super nice. And I think, you know, Chris had mentioned, like, sometimes it's nice to talk to someone in English. There is a lot of Spanish here. If you don't speak Spanish, get the Google Translate app. It'll be your best friend. It's not always perfect, but it's something. We found a lot of places. Like, I was kind of surprised. I thought Costa Rica, compared to some of the other Central American countries, I thought we would hit more English, especially like in San Jose and some of like the more touristy areas. I thought we would hit more English, and we really didn't. So sometimes you get to a campsite and there's someone else that speaks English. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, my brain doesn't have to like work so hard. And everyone kind of said the same thing, because everyone would just be like sort of Spanished out by the end of the day. So, but really great way to practice and learn your Spanish is when you have to speak to people in Spanish, because they don't speak English. So it was really great for learning.
And a lot of it, great encounters were with the hosts. Like, all the campsite hosts that we went to, even the Airbnb hosts. A lot of people have traveled from all around the world and have stayed here in Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we stayed at the Swiss Palm Garden, which is owned by a Swiss couple. They're in their 70s, and they gotta wanna back away from it, which is understandable. They're in their 70s, they're retired, they don't need the Airbnb, or not Airbnb, Airbnb. They had a bunch of cabanas there, but also the camping. So,
Well, they invited us to their house for coffee, and
We
then
hung
they're
out.
like, come to Switzerland.
yeah, come to Switzerland. Well, we're gonna travel there this summer, but so all the encounters with the hosts were very positive for us. You know, staying at the Swiss Palm Garden, people from Swiss, staying at Batsu.
Batsu, that was one of our favorite places as well. I
So
should put
it's-
that on the camping list.
So it's managed by an American couple, or sorry, he's from America, she's from Trinidad. And they have these two really young, energetic kids. Well, one's energetic, one's great, and the other one's just like, we're
6
talking
months
6
old.
months old. She was pregnant when we first saw them, and then we came back to visit again because the place was so amazing.
Yeah.
And the baby was born, and oh no, she wasn't pregnant. She just had the
She
kid.
just had the baby. It was like a week old.
It was a week-old
First
baby,
time.
so we never saw it. And then we saw it when we revisited. So that was at Batsu, and that's their coffee. I don't know what American markets or any other markets that have it, but that's their coffee.
Yeah.
It's one of our favorite coffees.
Yeah, and it's a really good camp spot. They're just outside of San Ramon, so nice elevation, good temperature.
Good view.
And a great place. They get a lot of people, it's kind of same thing, like their first day from San Jose, they might go there. Recommend the spot. It's small. They've only got really space for like one camper. It's off-grid, but
They have a
it's
bunch
like,
of cabins in the back.
yes, they have a couple cabins. So if you want to do eco camping, you can stay in the cabin. But they have like a restaurant on site, and it's like farm to table restaurant. You can do a coffee tour.
They have their own beer.
They have their own beer. Yeah, it's really,
Lots of beer,
really
yeah.
fun place. And the hosts are super nice. Like, you know, we've had like dinner up at the restaurant, kind of like family dinner, sit down, chat with them. Like, yeah, just really, really, really good spot. Even just to come through for the day. Like, come through for the day, do a coffee tour, eat at the restaurant.
Yeah. Well, there was a family, I think it was midweek, that came, or family came through midweek, and they asked if the restaurant was open, and it's around noon. And they're like, not really open, but we're open for coffee. So obviously they can make any kind of coffee, because it's a coffee farm.
Yeah.
So they can make the best coffee you'll ever have. You know, the cappuccinos, the lattes, the espressos, the normal coffees, the Americanos, all different kind of coffees. I would actually challenge you to have a specific coffee in mind and challenge them. I'm sure they can go and they can make anything.
And I think one of the things, well, two of the things I guess that we really liked about that spot was, you know, it's small camping, you're down like kind of away from everyone else, like the camp spot is like kind of off on its own, great view, so that was really nice. The
Banana
weather-
trees everywhere, and we didn't pillage, but we were able
We're
to go
allowed
and
to have some.
we were allowed to go and have a few banana. So basically, there's banana trees everywhere. A few of the banana trees have fallen over, so that's what we pillaged. Basically, a tree fell over because that's when they die. They fall over. Chop off the banana, the whatever fruit vine, not fruit vine, but anyway, chop that off, hang it a little bit, nice green bananas, turn to really juicy, ripe bananas, and pillaged bananas. And then there's lime trees. I stayed away from the lime the second time around because I ate so many lemon trees, my lips got, yeah.
Yeah, but lemon trees, bananas, good coffee, and the camping is like kind of like I said, it's like off grid. There's not electricity, but like a really, really nice view, good fire pit, and but you know they also have like super fast Wi-Fi because they are tech people and they work from they work from home. They work from the coffee farm, so you don't have Wi-Fi at the campsite, but you just go up to the main restaurant and there's like the fastest Wi-Fi you'll ever have. So you can be like camping in nature off grid, and then you don't need to walk very far. It's like maybe 400 or 500 meters, and then all of a sudden you're kind of back to like a little bit more civilization.
Have a coffee, go on the internet, use the Wi-Fi, do some. Well, we did some video editing there.
Yeah, and then go back to camp.
But
And in terms of like the coffee farm experience, there's lots of different coffee farms you could go to in Costa Rica. This one is great. There's lots of other ones as well, but we'd recommend if you're picking a spot to really get like the most authentic experience, try to pick one of the smaller ones. You know, like I don't know if I'd be jazzed to do like the Starbucks coffee tour, just some of like the
Which is
bigger,
available.
which
Yeah.
is available. Just like bigger, more industrial coffee farms. It's very different when you're at a small one and like you can talk to like that. You know, we talked to Carlos, like the actual farmer. You know, the way they grow is different. You know, the way they look after the land, and you know, there's a lot more. It's not all about like rows and rows and rows and rows of coffee plants. You know, so that all they're growing is coffee and to make as much money. Like a lot more of the smaller ones. People say it looks unkept, but it's not. They have banana trees going, they have lime trees going, they have like all these other different like trees and plants and stuff kind of mixed in with the coffee to provide shade and also like to nourish the soil and stuff. So that was something that we found was really interesting on the tour, like why it's like that and how it differs from like the bigger plants, and how some of like the bigger coffee farms, like, you know, coffee plants, they replenish, they keep growing for so many years, and then they'd stop producing. Well, some of these more like industrial farms, like they'll just chop the plant down and kind of start over, and so like over time it's not going to be as good for the soil and stuff like that. So yeah, really interesting to try to find like a small farm. That's the one we went to and loved it there, but there's lots like that in Costa Rica. What else do we want to talk about? We're getting near the end of the list here. So we mentioned in Costa Rica that prices for a lot of things, same as US. If it's imported, it's going to be a little bit more. One thing that is cheaper in Costa Rica is labor. So like if you needed your car worked on, you want to get a massage, if you're in an apartment and you're looking to have someone come and clean, or dental work, good spots to go for that. So we went to the dentist. We were going to see the dentist here in Nicaragua when we were back, but because we ended up in Costa Rica for an extra couple of months, that means our time in Nicaragua is going to be a little bit shorter. So we're like, well, we have the time, let's hit up a dentist here. And so we were going for like regular cleaning and x-rays, just, like the yearly checkup. And we do have benefits from the military that cover it for us, which is to pay up front. And so I like setting up the appointment and booking it in Spanish. And so like I'm asking them how much it costs, and they said $150. Yeah, $150. Yep. I'm like, okay. So I assumed, like when I was reading the back and forth, that it was $150 per person. I'm like, oh man, Chris, you wouldn't believe it's $150 per person. That's so cheap. That's x-rays, that's cleaning.
Yeah,
that's
so it's
like
going to be $300 for the visit. Okay, that's good. Then we have benefits that'll cover whatever 80% of that. Well, she goes to pay for it, and they run the card through $150 US, so $150 US. Run the card through. She's like, oh, I got to pay for Chris as well, and they're like, no, that's for both of you. So it was $75 per person, $150 for the two of us to have X-rays, the checkup, and a cleaning.
Yeah.
$75 US per person.
So,
and this is on like the 16th floor of a Microsoft building in downtown San Jose.
Like a really good dental office.
Really good. They had X-ray machines on every single chair. It was amazing. It was great, beautiful. One of the best dental offices I've been to in my life.
Yeah, and in comparison, in Canada, like, so we had benefits in Canada too. I would go to the dentist for the same yearly checkup, X-rays, and I would pay $75. That would be the portion that I would pay, and our benefits would cover the rest. So even if you're coming and you don't have benefits, like... Yeah.
And even booking it you can book it short notice. Yeah. Like, I think it's basically 2 days in advance.
2 or 3 days, yeah. Yeah, we found in general, like booking things, you could get in quick, and everybody uses WhatsApp here, and most of the businesses you can like make an appointment through a text in WhatsApp, which... as an English-speaking person speaking Spanish to people, we found that really helpful. Like anytime I was booking appointments and stuff, I could just send them a WhatsApp, and then that way too, if I need to think about it a little bit or like make sure that I got it right, I could like translate if I needed to, or if they sent something back in Spanish, which was normally the case, if I didn't know exactly what they said, I could translate it. So kind of like a good option. Like most places in Canada, you can't like text them to get service, but here like everybody has WhatsApp, so you can basically text for service, which is pretty awesome. They have a business account.
So medical tourism in Costa Rica is very, very popular, and it's high quality.
Yeah, and the same thing is happening in Nicaragua,
yeah.
Just for people wondering. And then probably the other cost, I mean, obviously we camped most of the time. Average camping cost, we paid a little less, we paid a little more, but the average cost was $10 US per person per night. So. And
those places typically have water at the site, sometimes power at the site, sometimes you have to go a little bit further for the power, and power is important to us because we have the cooler that's running on the car battery, so we're not constantly reliant on the car battery to recharge. We've got to run the car every so often, so power is important. So running water, power, Wi-Fi Most places will say 80% of them have Wi-Fi at every site.
Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's not, but
Yep. And of course having the dogs.
yeah, so we obviously only went to places that allowed dogs. Know that there's dogs everywhere here and they're almost never on a leash. So that was one thing, definitely just like, you know, even if there was like no dogs living on the property, there could always be dogs show up, like stray dogs everywhere. So we always kept our dogs on a leash, but just something to be aware of. Camping gear. So we realize not everybody's camping, but if you were coming to Costa Rica to camp or you're interested in camping but you don't have a whole setup like us, you can rent in Costa Rica. So it's quite popular. There's a couple different companies, easily findable online. So you rent like 4-wheel drive with a rooftop tent, comes with all the camping gear you need. So that's an option for you guys that are like, oh, this would be super fun. Or even if you're someone who has their own setup in Canada or US, but you're like, I don't have the time, vacation time to drive down to be able to do it. I need to fly in. Renting is available.
So basically you fly in, you land, you get picked up from your hotel or from the airport, you go to the overland rooftop tenting place, get your vehicle, everything is there for you. They've got the machete, the tent, the water, coolers, everything you need for camping is all set up for them. You go to them, was it Nomad?
Nomad America is one of the bigger companies.
What's one of the bigger companies? We recommend them. There's other places there that are top notch as well. They have also one of the best sites. So Nomad America, if you are overlanding, just in your own vehicle or from wherever, they've pinpointed on their own personal map all the great places in Costa Rica to go. I suggest that map. Also, iOverland is another great database.
Yeah.
So basically pick you up, get you out camping first day.
And probably like from talking to people, you know, there's always like things you wish you had or didn't have, or if you're camping longer term, you might change out your gear. But just know they send you, obviously they're not sending you with an electric cooler, so you do need to get ice, which ice is available everywhere here, so not a huge deal. And usually if people are kind of doing the rent a tent, they're kind of doing a mix between making their own meals and enjoying some of the Costa Rican restaurants too, right? Or some people would tent and they would always go to restaurants because I mean they're only here for 7 days, 10 days, 14 days. So don't let that deter you. That's not a problem at all. People would say though that the mattress in the rooftop tents specifically from here are very thin. So we talked to a couple people, and what they did is they said first day they went out and they just bought like a cheap, went to Walmart or wherever store and bought like a cheap air mattress to put on top. So we can't say we haven't tried it for ourselves, but we've heard that from a bunch of people that the mattress is not as good. When we bought our rooftop tent, we were actually the mattress was one thing we were really looking for.
So like a foam topper or a little air mattress to sit on top of them. Just a little suggestion for that.
Yeah, you could bring one. But what camping gear we had with us that for anyone who's like traveling a little bit longer term, that we're like, okay, this is stuff that we're like, not just for Costa Rica, this would be anywhere that we would say is like super, super useful and like maybe isn't on your camping list. I would say for me, we have a 20-liter collapsible bucket. Like it basically it's like kind of made out of, I don't know, rubber, and it just like folds right down to flat. And it's 20 liters. I use that bucket for washing dishes. It's my laundry machine. We've used it to collect wood in, water to pour out on a fire, and it takes up no space at all. So that's one thing that I'm like, if this thing broke, I'd be looking for like the exact replacement.
So my thing that and it was like iffy if I needed it or not, like we're camping. So it was like, well, do we need this? And it was a hatchet. A simple hatchet was critical for this trip. Just to go and chop up some wood or to, split wood. Going with that is we hit the rainy season. So having dry wood, having kindling, was very important. So basically, I would find wood, hopefully dry, and then wrap it up in plastic and store it and chop it for kindling for all the different sites. I've learned along the way that hatchet was
Invaluable.
Yeah.
Well, and we love having campfires, so yeah.
Every night we'd have a campfire.
Yeah, so for us, what we ended up doing, like Chris, like you said, he would just like keep that dry wood, and we just had like one reusable shopping bag that was like, we always knew we had a little bit of dry wood, so no matter where we showed up, we at least could get
it started.
get the fire started.
And then once it's started, you can throw on, the damp wood, which will eventually dry out to create a bigger fire. The dogs, I know, favorite thing that we set up for them was the back seat. So we have the bug cover screens for the windows, so you can get a breeze right through the vehicle without having bugs come in, and also creates like shade. So it keeps the inside of the vehicle nice and cool all the time. We had these, they're battery powered fans, but since they've only ran for a certain length of time, we actually plugged them right into the vehicle or plugged it into a power bank, so we can run it all night long without the fan kicking out. So
but they would run for about 8 hours without being plugged in.
So it was a nice breeze in the back seat, and we had this little spray bottle, we call it the mister. Mist the dogs down, get them damp, and then it kept them nice and cool for like the plus 30 weather. But we also did run the air conditioner to keep the dogs nice and cool when it was unbearable for us and for them. So the dogs were always taken care of. Yeah, the screens, fan, the spritzer, that's what they loved.
Yeah.
Keep the dogs comfortable and cool.
I want
Took
one of those fans for in the
took
tent
some-
for us.
Yeah, it took some stress off of us, because people always ask about the dogs and how they handle the heat. And they handle it quite well with proper setup.
Yeah, proper setup. I mean, we want to try to park in the shade, like for ourselves as well. So yeah, just making sure that we had good shade. Often there was a breeze, and yeah, the mix of everything else just made it good for the dogs. We actually, I would say, we ran the car, like when we were parked, whether it was at night or during the day, we ran the air conditioning less than I thought we were going to need to, which we would have ran it as much as we needed to for the dogs, but we ran it less than.
And we also chose higher elevations. So we were higher altitude, therefore the heat wasn't as bad. If we were down in Taco or in Avita or Limon, right along either coast, we're at zero, like ocean level. We found the temperature to be really, really hot, and fortunately we were either near a pool when we were at those places, or in an Airbnb, like in Haka, we were in Airbnb, had air conditioning, made us way more comfortable, the dogs more comfortable, so we always chose a higher elevation. So when we stayed at the hilltop or in the valley or in wherever, the temperature wise was very critical for us.
Yeah, and I think that's just something maybe like to look at when you're camping too. Depending on where you're coming from, if it's like plus, feels like plus 35, and you don't have air conditioning, there's no breeze, it's humid, and you're in the sun, and you don't have a pool, camping might not be as enjoyable as you think it would be.
But in general, people coming to Costa Rica are not going to be doing, so we're probably looking at the 0.5%, we're talking to the 0.5% of people actually to go and do the overland drive from Canada or the States all the way down here. But some of these tips are universal to overlanding and camping through America, through Canada,
Yeah.
into Mexico. Baja, Mexico is a great place to camp. We'll be visiting that place hopefully in a few months. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just more like, I think everyone has this vision like, oh, we're gonna camp on the beach every day.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those, like Instagram versus reality kind of situations that, it might be good for a short period of time, but then you're like, okay, We need to get, we need to be somewhere that there's not sand everywhere and it's a little bit cooler just to be a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah. But, so since we are the 0.5% of people that it would ever, even smaller number, like I said before, the fly-in, rent an overland vehicle, a rooftop tent, and do the 10-day camping excursion, go to different spots. People come to Costa Rica for the eco-adventure, the hanging bridges, the wildlife, the sloth. Sloth was probably one of my favorite things to go and see, and we saw one that is active. Well, somewhat active. For a couple minutes. He was doing his morning routine. He was giving, scratching his face. He was kind of doing like a little, whatever.
Clean up,
wake up kind of scenario. Hanging upside down, very slowly creep back up, but they stayed in that position, like exact position for like hours after that.
If you want to see it, it's on our video. The title of the video is Camping with Sloths.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often.
So seeing Costa Rica and the Eco Adventure is a must do.
Yeah. And renting a tent is a great way to do it.
It's a great way to do it, yeah.
But if you're not a camper, there's plenty of Airbnbs, there's plenty of hotels, there's plenty of resorts. But definitely Costa Rica is a great place to come.
Mm-hmm.
But we are back in Nicaragua.
Yes.
Our original plan was to come home and spend 3 months in Nicaragua. So we're going to do 6 months in Costa Rica, 3 months in Nicaragua, and then we're going to head off for our next adventure. Because when you're camping, timing the weather is important. So, because we got kind of like waylaid in Costa Rica, blessing, curse, it was fun. That does mean that we can't get to spend as much time at our house in Nicaragua. So we're basically here for 3 weeks, which is like a bit of a whirlwind. Unpacked everything from the vehicle. We need to take our vehicle in for a little bit of just like general maintenance.
Because it took, Costa Rica took quite a toll on our suspension system. There's some rough roads, some very steep inclines, declines. So our front end just needs a few little suspension parts. We'll let you know what the cost is. I think it's gonna be fairly low, but
and I mean,
reasonable.
Also, our vehicle's a 2008, and we've never replaced the suspension. So I mean, it doesn't mean it's gonna kill your vehicle, but like ours is ready for some maintenance, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, so we've got to do some vehicle maintenance, clean everything. So we've been home for a couple of days. Our house is a disaster. Pulling everything out, washing everything, cleaning everything, and basically repacking.
Yeah.
Because we're headed on another adventure.
Yeah.
Where are we going?
I don't know.
We're going north. So
Again.
we, when we came from Canada, we spent a month, and that was a month to go from Canada, U.S., Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and into Nicaragua, and
Way too fast.
that was a whirlwind.
Yeah. Every day, new campsite, pack things up, move to a new site, unpack, have supper, sleep,
Do it again.
do it again, pack things up. It was nonstop every single day. We never really had a rest. We did take our time, so we did only drive like 5 hours ish on average driving down.
Yeah.
So we could pack up and unpack. If we didn't have a rooftop tent for staying in hotels, you could do it way faster. And you could do, 8-hour, 10-hour days. But we were not doing that. So we took 30 days to get down here. You can go and drive from Alberta all the way to our house in Nicaragua in 10 days. But that would be too big. We did 30.
Yeah.
But we packed up every single day, new spot, new campsite. We never really got to appreciate El Salvador, Guatemala, Mexico. We spent a lot of time in Mexico, but we never got to appreciate. And then in the States, we just burned through the States like it was, our neighbor country. So we burned through the
want to
States.
get to warmer weather so we can.
We also left in January.
Yeah.
We left in January, so it was pretty cold for camping. We got to Texas and we got to actually use the tent for the first time. We're doing the reverse, but we're doing a lot slower. We're going to enjoy El Salvador. We're going to spend a month there. Go and see all the sights. Go and see everything we need to see in El Salvador. Go to the coast. Try to stay cool.
Eat lots of pupusas.
Eat lots of pupusas. Go to Guatemala. Spend 1 month. enjoy all of Guatemala again. Really enjoy that. All the way up is 1 month in every country except for Honduras. We're really sorry. We can't find campsites in Honduras. If there are campsites in Honduras, send us a message saying this site is really good and you suggested it, then that's great. But Honduras,
Yeah, there's only a couple places, like we did camp in a good spot when we came through Honduras, but they're definitely limited. And I mean, iOverlander is like the resource. Most of the places in Honduras, unfortunately, are like stopping at a gas station overnight, which we did do that once, and that was it's actually in Guatemala that we did that once. I'm over that. That's not my favorite. Like, it's maybe somewhere safe to stay for a night, but that's not really the experience that we're going for. Like, we want to camp, we want to be in nature, we want to, have campfires, we want to make food, we want to, like, not just be, like, pulled up and there's people getting gas and whatever. Like, it's, while you're staring at me while I'm sitting in my tent, it's a little weird. But,
so yeah, we're going to explore up north. So we're moving up north. So we're going to go and adventure more of Central America and spend the summer in Canada.
yeah, so we're going to summer in Canada.
Hopefully get there by the end of May, maybe beginning of June. Hit Canada.
Yeah.
Spend the summer in Canada. Hit the mountains. Go and hit the East Coast. Explore as much of Canada and show you Canada, what it has to offer for the summer.
And visit family while we're there.
Get our family visit, because we've been away from family for well over a year.
Yeah, it'll be like a year and a half by the time we get back. So, yes, a good visit with family. And Chris's sister's place, they're building some geodomes.
So we're going to go and build some geodomes. So we're going to go and get some video of the geodome construction and staying in a geodome with my sisters, which is going to be pretty awesome.
And then our plan, everything is tentative, but our plan, really, we kind of have like the next year and a bit planned out. So we'll go up north, Canada for the summer, and then when the weather starts to turn, we're going to head back down into the States. We're going to stay in the lower states or potentially Baja, Mexico, maybe a bit of both. It's a little up in the air, but somewhere that's lower, more south, warm enough that we can camp for the winter. Because then the following summer, we want to take the rooftop tent to Alaska. And Alaska, like anywhere else, we kind of need to time the season so that we're there in decent weather. And so by the time we leave Canada, if we drove all the way back to Nicaragua, we pretty much get here, and then we have to drive all the way back up again. So we figure there's lots of places to explore in the States that we haven't been, and places in Mexico that we could go to as well. So we're still kind of figuring all that out, but that's our rough tentative travel plan for the next little bit. I mean, our plan was always to move to Nicaragua as a home base and travel, and we got the travel bug. We've loved our rooftop tent so much.
When we first bought the rooftop tent, its purpose was to get down to Nicaragua in it. Like, well, after spending, 10 days in a rooftop tent, we're going to go and save a lot of money instead of being in like hotels the whole time. We love the rooftop tent. We kind of got addicted. We weren't sure if we were going to get our value out of the tent and camping, but now we simply just can't stop. Like, it's an addiction.
Yeah.
And we started getting more kit. We have a plug-in cooler. Works off 12-volt cooler, makes camping way more enjoyable. We then got a Duracell power, it's called a gasless generator. It's a giant power bank. So we got that to plug in the cooler. Then we had some sites that didn't have power, so we decided to go and get a solar panel to go and run the generator, to go and charge the generator, to charge our cooler and charge the fan for the dogs and all the accessories, the phones, the cameras, all that kit. So we've expanded to the point where, yes, we're addicted, we love camping, we love adventure. We're going to take the car as far as we can.
Yeah.
So it's in the shop right now, getting a new front suspension parts. Once we get that back, and we start heading up north. And we're going all the way north to Alaska.
Yeah, so kind of like totally a bit of a different plan from like a year ago. We thought like we were gonna stay in Nicaragua and we would like fly to different places, and then we would like drive and spend more time in, you know, just places that we could drive to, a little bit Central America. And yeah, we've loved it, and the dogs have loved it. Like we wanted to know how that was gonna work, and everybody's loving rooftop tenting. So we're just doing more of that, but that does mean that we'll be away from our home from Nicaragua for a little while, which is kind of sad as well. Like,
yes, even though we moved all our leftover belongings from Canada have been shipped down here. They're at our house here. We're just gonna pack that all up, and whatever we can fit inside the car we need for camping, it's all camp gear.
Yep.
Hang with us.
Yeah. So we're spending the next 3 weeks getting prepared for our big trip north, but also enjoying everything that Nicaragua has to offer. Hopefully getting to Tree Casa for a day. We're having a little get together with some friends, lots of swimming, enjoying some good Nicaragua food. I mean, we've already hit up the fish market because like the best fish ever is here.
And we were just talking to a guy at our favorite coffee spot, Indio del Sur in Costa Rica. Yeah, switch over to Nicaragua. So we're talking to someone at Indio, and he suggested, because he's been here 2 years, all these different spots in Nicaragua. So we're going to explore Nicaragua for the next 3 weeks, month. Try to hit up as many spots as possible, and then we're going to head up.
Yeah. So for those of you watching to see Nicaragua content, it's going to be a little while before we're back home in Nicaragua. But we absolutely love it here. We love our house here. If you're looking to travel to Nicaragua, definitely do it. It's an amazing spot. We love San Juan.
But also, while we're back in Canada and doing all of these trips, we still may plan to travel back to Nicaragua and do, but we'll be without a vehicle.
Yeah, flying.
We'll fly in. We just can't bring the car overland as much as we wanted to in Nicaragua. So we'll be using local transportation. We're going to go and talk to Indian Face to go and get us to certain spots in Nicaragua. And yeah, there's going to be a few more Nicaragua adventures, but our vehicle is overlanded.
Yeah, headed north for now, so yeah. So I guess that's everything excited.
Yeah. Anything else to add?
I don't think so. I think that's everything Costa Rica. If anyone has any specific questions about Costa Rica, camping in Costa Rica, overlanding, where to go, hit us up in the comments or send us a DM on our Instagram or our Facebook. Put it in YouTube. We try to answer everything as best we can. Sometimes we're a little bit slow if we're traveling. We might not have Wi-Fi or just, we're busy enjoying life, but we do try to get back to everybody. So if you have questions, we're happy to help.
Yeah. That's it.
All right. I think it's pool time.